Hi guys, this is Miss Polly again. It's nice to see you guys. It is a new week. I have some good criteria for us to look at. Um, Today though, I want to kind of hop right in. I've been having a lot of jobs I have had to do. You guys know I don't am a life coach. I also have two other businesses that I take care of. So sometimes my scheduling gets kind of tight. So it's okay, but thank you guys for coming and viewing. We're gonna get back into our episodes again. So this is actually part of the new series that I was speaking about last week. If you guys are new, join us for this season of items, and then we have another section. It's another series. So we have three series that's going to be going on simultaneously. And if you guys like to look at either one, so today we will be talking more about the dating pool. It's gonna be maybe probably a two-part video, maybe not like right away, but definitely gonna have probably a two-part video where I add a guest because I've been meeting some interesting people, and like I told you guys, I wanted to bring those on. So go ahead and like, subscribe, don't forget. But let's just jump right into it. Now, this particular series kind of is incorporates how our world is today and how it was years ago, and how that is kind of messing with the dating pool, because you hear a lot of people on shows and things like that complaining, or not even complaining, or just voicing their opinion about why is it such a hard thing to do with date. The dating pool is so hard. And I'm gonna be honest, I think one of the reasons why it's really hard right now is because we're in this transition. Good morning. This transition that's taking place. So let's talk about this transition. Okay, so the transition I'm talking about is there is a lot of people who would like things to go back to more traditional ways, of dating. So that's really big. So there's men who want women who are traditional, who are going to stay home, maybe not even stay home, but do maybe a little work, but they know that they're supposed to be more submissive to their male counterparts. They want that dynamic where I'm going and I'm doing this and this, and then you're doing this and this, and we're not going to battle with each other. The big one that I hear complaint is, no man really wants a independent woman. Okay. And women are saying, well, why wouldn't you want an independent woman who's going to help you? I do see some men defend that and say, yeah, I want someone to help me. Yeah, I want that. And then there's other men who are like, no, if you're a man, you're ready to be married, or you're ready to be with someone, you should be able to then have them depend on you, because that's your whole purpose in life, is to be able to build yourself to up to a certain point so that you are able to be that provider for a family. And if you're not at that point, then you shouldn't be possibly dating. So these are one side, and then there's another side now that we're transitioning into, where women are more equal to men. There's lots of things going on, like in our community. This is where I say history, things that are happening around in our environment affects us so much. So the transition, now we're having people who are transgender. That really is one big one that affects the dating pool. And not only are you worried about who you're actually dating on a chemistry, an actual, physical chemistry issue, is now you have to even worry about, okay, what's the dynamic when there's two males? What's the dynamic when there's two females? Now, some people may say, well, it's no different. It's just, we just do this job. And I think that has a lot to play with how we're dating. If you now see men and women in the 90s, where we're having people say, okay, well, it's okay to get married, it's legal. And now other people are watching families that are actually existing with two partners that are the same sex. Then what does that dynamic look in the house? So then what do the children think of that dynamic when they're home? Are their views going to change on the male female roles? Does that affect it? Of course it does. We now, you can't say it doesn't, because everything affects everything. Okay, and I mean that in a positive way. It doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be bad, but it does affect. It will be different. The ideas of the child, not even um, down to just the idea that it's okay, or they don't really see that there's an issue, or they don't see the lines that traditional relationships have. They won't see that. So then when they meet someone, it will be something little odd. So that affects it. Transgender things starting to take place. Like I said, those roles are questioned. When gay rights started being, processed through the system, those things changed the dynamics where teachers and other kids would go to other kids' house and see how their houses ran. Um, and see that, oh, okay, well, there's two dads, and who does what, because that's not anything my parents have ever shown me, and that's not something that I know. I don't see that on TV. And that's one of the reasons why people who are bisexual, gay, or whatever, will like, they they were pushing for people to be on TV and the social media that look like them. um it's not, oh, I'm going to change everybody's mind frame, but the fact that it would normalize what it is. Okay, now, like I said, in this show, we are not um we're not saying anything's right or wrong. We're just saying normalizing something so that it's not a shock value, or that when you see something, you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know how it works, but I've heard of it before. Making something more common, and it's less shocking, and it just makes it normal. So those things changed a lot of things. Even though it's been pretty much, it's a slow transition, those things will affect. So that's a big one. So when we're talking about that, and then on top of that, there's a big women's movement. If you underestimate this movement, you are ridiculous. If you think that it doesn't mean anything, you are very wrong. I'm gonna be honest. I will say this is the beginning. It is not the end, and I mean the transition and the effects we have not even come to see. And so, with that knowledge, that they say, oh, what's the women's movement? Women saying, coming out more, demanding to be heard about certain topics, and that their opinions matter on certain things. One big thing is, I had a podcast of someone was saying, well, I didn't have a podcast, that was on someone else's podcast show, and they were saying women and men get paid equally. It's shown, it's on Google, and I said, no, they don't. And they were saying, yes, it is. And I was like, no, they don't. But this is how it changes. So remember, we live in capitalism, and this could be very, very true. Okay, listen to what I'm saying to you. The job, now they're saying, okay, there was people who are making the jobs. They just won't make those jobs available for women. So if women, let me rephrase, gonna go back so I can say it right, make sure we're getting what I'm saying. So let's say they said, okay, well, out of all these positions that are higher positions, are all the same. They're going to take all the positions of a certain caliber, say, oh, well, look, they're all kind of getting paid the same. Okay, but you're only calculating the positions where there are women and men in the role. If you're only calculating those things, and then you're showing they're equal, that's fine. But when you're talking about the upper scale, the top tier payment, or top tier paid positions, those aren't held by many women. So if there's no women in the field to count, then there is nothing to count. So and now even the positions that they have, they're not there. So it is equal. I will say, yeah, if you go to Walmart, yeah, you're going to pay like a Walmart employee. But those aren't the jobs that we're talking about. We're talking about jobs where you're making six figures plus. Now, women are moving towards that because now they want to keep pushing, forward. But there are ways to make it appear as if they're being equal in certain positions and then not equal in other positions. So that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not talking about Walmart workers. I'm not talking about Target workers, not Amazon workers. What I'm talking about is the top positions in companies with women and males. Women just won't get that position. So then how can you count a category that they're not in? You can't. But like I said, like those kind of things, I think they change it. But now women are going doing their own businesses, flourishing. And there's a lot of change that's taking place. And with those changes comes a lot of things that change within our communities. And that each community, now remember in our cultural communities, okay, cultural communities are very important. I think we underestimate that too. There's Spanish communities, there are African communities, there are island communities, Asian communities, African American communities, Caucasian communities. So in each community, these changes are different, and there's a lot more interracial things happening. So with all these changes taking place, they are affecting this pool of dating because these are the people you're dating. Their views on how it looks, this is going to be affected by all this change. And so that's where I said the history and what's going around in your environment does change things. And I think this change really is taking place more in America. I think, the UK and things like that. Um, it may be changing a little bit, but the people who are really feeling it is America, obviously. We just have so much freedom, more freedom and rights, and things available to us that others aren't able to do. Not saying they're less than us. I'm just saying we have a lot more freedoms here that will allow for certain things to be changed in a quicker manner. So, with all that information you guys got, why is this affecting our pool? That's what we want to know. Okay, so if we think back, okay, go back. So you have traditional men, traditional women. Now you're having this more modern women, modern men situation that's taking place, and then how are they getting together? I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of confusion where men and women, where they're growing up in these environments where there's transition and then there's confusion. And then what do you do when you're confused and not know what to do? You go back to basics. Go back to basics. So traditional men who are on the internet saying women aren't traditional anymore, there's problems. Um, they weren't traditional for a little while now. So if you're able to actually have that conversation and you're not, 50 plus, I'm not saying anything wrong with that, is there's an age range where you're going to find more traditional women. You're just going to find more traditional women because they were, growing up with other traditional women to see, and those traditional women saw certain things. More traditional women. There's a phase even in the Black community, because most of the time you're talking to, depending on who you're talking to, if it's a Black community, has went through a large transition, um, and that is where women have been now largely dominating. Black women are dominating the economy when it comes to, let's say, just the hood or basic. Women are up and coming. They are changing this dynamic in the Black community. So there's a big change right there. Also in the Caucasian community, but in the Black community, it's a big change where there's a lot more Black women being business owners, having their income is way greater than their male counterparts. This has thrown off whack of the community. So what's happening is these men are saying, "Hey, my dad or my grandpa, they were traditional. They didn't have to deal with these things. They didn't have to do this." And if some other guy is saying yes to everything his woman says just because she makes more, then he's simping. Um, you know, it, there's this battle taking place where the these particular men now are having to feel like they're in competition with their counterparts when before it wasn't that. So when you get nervous to that dynamic that you're seeing change, well, I've only seen in my lifetime where my mom stayed home, she worked. Now there's some bad experience people have had. My mom stayed home. She was a single mom. Dad was in and out. And when he got mad, he wouldn't be there. But then when he was there, he was there. Mom kind of struggled. He just kind of, did what he wanted. And then she would just kind of take the scraps. There are a lot of women who have that story as moms, as grandmas. And what they did was they just pushed through and bit the bullet. And they just kept, so either being loyal to their husbands, or they sat there and they just kept pushing through and decided to be single moms and never really let their children see them interacting with other men, because was a no, a big no, 80s, 90s, to have your children really see you interacting with a lot of other men, or dating, was a big no. You see this even in movies and things like that. It was not a good thing to do. So women would just stay single until their children were old enough to get out of the house. So there was a competition that was built between older women and younger women. Now, this is, like I said, this community right now is kind of the hitting hard would be more in the Black community. It does happen in Caucasian communities, but the people who are getting hit the most would be right there. But competing with younger women even included, to not exclude your own children possibly. If you're a woman with a lot of girls and this was happening, you see your husband going out with younger women, um, some women would be very upset about this. They, you can hear stories. You can hear horror stories around this era that, oh, my boyfriend was looking at my daughter, and instead of thinking that that was incorrect, it was more like the incorrectness is that my daughter is looking a certain way, and I'm getting older, and all those things. Now, all those things come with psychological intake. So women thinking, okay, I'm only valued for my looks and what I can do in the home, and my support for my partner, and that's what I'm good for. So when it comes to more traditional men and women, there's so many dynamics that can affect those relationships. But yeah, those are big ones. So that dynamic where men are trying to say, hey, what do you do when the whole reason you exist is to provide? That's threatened now. That puts you in a state of confusion. Confusion makes you want to go back to what you know, or what you've seen, which is traditional life. Not saying things wrong with that, but that's where you want to go to. Because if you don't know what to do in this new environment, you're gonna freak out, or you're gonna try it, and it's not gonna probably work for you because you don't know what to do, or you're gonna have some failed things. And men don't like to fail. Men don't like to fail. Now, I'm not saying every man, but men usually do not like to fail. Um, it's not really an option. Failing, like I said, men who don't like to get hurt over and over again, they're very, very like, okay, if I get hurt, I'm not gonna do that again because I don't want to feel that again. They really make an effort. Now, like I said, new men, those are the more modern men have a different idea. They were shown differently. So the men who are a little bit older, I want to say 30, 30s and up, their idea, maybe even 35 and up, even older than that. But their idea is, I don't want to get hurt. I tried that. I don't like it. I'm not going to do that again. And if I start seeing things that look like that, I'm going to cut that off. Same thing. You don't know how to work in this environment. It's freaking you out. I don't want to do it. Let me go back to what I know, because this wasn't what I was doing. Now, when this man who is traditional is trying to date in this pool, he is now dating in the pool that's full of a whole bunch of stuff. You guys are right. The dating pool has a lot of stuff going on now. It's not just simple. I just go out here and I show a woman, I make money and all this stuff. Men now also are going through a transition because they're being affected by the women who are going through a transition. Is, okay, what is my value? That was never a question before. It wasn't. Women did not have to say, okay, same thing. What is my value? Women had to be asked what our value is. And a lot of their values that they had to bring to the table, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm trying to cuss, real stuff. Women's requirement to date. Now, I've even heard other people say this, but this is really just the facts. Women's criteria to be attractive in this dating pool is bare minimum. You don't really have to do anything but be a lady if you want to be a lady. You don't have to do much. You don't have to do much with your personality. All you have to do is maybe giggle a little, maybe possibly look submissive, maybe. Like I said, if you're trying to attract a traditional man, possibly. There's not very much women have to bring to the table to be attractive, and all the things that men had put values on. Okay, I'm not saying specific men. Values on is looks, making sure you kept up with yourself to a certain degree. All those things can now be in this new era. Remember, we're transitioning. Okay, we're transitioning. You you're coming from a state where you didn't have to do you were either had good looks, okay? You could have kids, you had good looks. You just had to have it. And if you didn't, you just didn't. Right? Same thing with men. Men, you same thing. You had to try to get a job, work hard, show, this, and if you look good, you look good. If you didn't, you didn't. Right? Point blank. This new land is different. Now, if you are a person who is unattractive, at least not as attractive as another woman, and maybe that's the one thing that maybe in back then you were able to get away with. Oh, you know what? She didn't have a real cute face, but she got a nice body and she's nice. Okay. Now, the women who have a horrible, horrible attitude, okay, and maybe didn't have all or don't have enough butt or whatever, those women now can just go get surgery. And I'll tell you something, nothing will stop a woman with determination to make herself look attractive to male counterparts or to herself. Okay. She could have a job at Target. She will work at Target and she will get that boob job done. She will do it. She will get that BBL. She will do it. It will get done. So, because she puts value on that. So you can see that. So that's going to change. So now that pool of women, that traditional pool that we're talking about, the pool is not traditional. The pool has now, it's got all kinds of things in it. So now not only are regular women competing with just women, they're competing with transgender women. I'm just being honest. It's nothing. Like I said, it's not against anyone because I don't have any issue with anybody. But transitional women. This is someone who's a traditional woman who's coming into arena. You are in competition. No longer do the basics that you had affect because you can be a person who can just get cosmetic things done. Okay, those things can be fixed now. When someone be like, "Oh, they're cute. They have a chip foot." There's so much that can be done to change your appearance. At this point, that's not an issue. So men who used to say, "Oh, they're not cute or they're getting older," I mean, yes, that still happens, but the women are able to keep up for a longer periods of time. So now you're in competition with not only, like I said, transgender people. You're in competition with different age groups. You used to be like, oh, you're at your, maybe people say, oh, you're at your prime at 20. Well, now these women out here can have two, three, four kids. They can go get their stuff tucked right back in and look like they are 20. They can get their face done. They can look amazing. They're competing now even with ages. So now you're throwing all them in the pool. On the male side, like I said, let's not forget them. In this transition of seeing who's out there, it used to be very, very simple. Make sure you are ready and stable to find someone and do that. Now, even men who have no education, who have no sort of personality, who are horrible people, can make money by doing stupid stuff on the internet. They can be millionaires. You are now competing. Someone who is educated, good looking on, you're competing with money now that these women said, hey, I got these looks and stuff. I paid for this. So you're and now I want to attract a male with a particular bankroll. They're able to say, well, I want that guy. And you're like, well, why am I competing with this guy who has no personality? Or if he does have a personality, or he's a jerk, I'm competing with him when I've done all the steps, traditional steps to get to the place where I'm supposed to be the most attractive, not physically all the time, but attractive to other women. I am competing with foolishness now. And you are. That's why, because you are. You're no longer in a pool where those things are valued the same. Education is not even valued the same anymore. So you used to say, oh, there's a man, he's a girl, he's going to school, be doctor school. You see it. You see internet clips where people are like, oh, he says he's a physicist, girl. He ain't cool enough. The requirements for a man to date a woman, the list is long. You have to be charismatic. You got to be good looking. And then they ask why men are getting cosmetic surgery now because they're competing. They're competing with a pool that they're not used to competing with, and that no one's shown them how to compete in. They're in a game where they've never played before. They don't know, this is the first game. This pool is different. It's no longer a pond. You were in literally like the biggest sea ever. This is no longer a pond where certain women were in this dating pool that were someone you can date. Same thing for men. You're competing with these other people that you weren't ever competing with now. You are competing with them now. Okay? So these men that you had to do all these steps. Okay? You see, I mean, I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to put anyone down. Please, I try not to. But there are men who have lots of money who, by God knows why. I don't know why. But women will find them attractive because they have money. The island boys. And like I said, they see this. Don't take it offensively. It's just true. In a real traditional man point of view, you do not have the things other than money to be in a traditional realm a man. According to traditional rules and what that standards look like, you do not fit in it. The only thing you have is money. There's nothing there. There's no maturity. There's nothing. There's no stability. These are things that women ask for. There is, I'm gonna be honest, I doubt, I mean, I don't know you. Hopefully there's conversation. There's no conversation. The education is gone. All you can talk about is partying and being effed up. And that's what most men bring to the table who are of a certain age, because they haven't got to the point where they've experienced things or they value those things. And even in that group of men, there's a lot of people who don't value learning things, education. So those values have changed. So now you're asking women who say, oh, well, you're supposed to value, because we're talking about traditional, we're going back traditional, your woman and the wife's supposed to do certain things. Now, I will say, I think women are asking for a lot, and I don't think they actually realize it. I think if they took a role switch, they would see how much harder it is to be on the other side. And I've had to do a role change in my life. And I'm telling you, it was the worst thing I ever did in my life. I was like, I don't know how men do it. Oh my God, why? If you did a real role change, and I'm not saying women aren't going to be able to, no, I'm not talking about that. Take all the things that you have to worry about and be consistent with. Even women who are successful, the things that men have to think they have to keep up with is astronomical. I don't know how they keep up. Um, like I said, but women are changing. So then what the qualities and things they're asking for, that raises. And so men are trying to keep up with these things that their standards are supposed to be meeting. So not only, like I said, their standards are crazy. You have to be good looking. You have to make this much money. You have to be charismatic. You got to be well rounded educationally. You got to be a leader. All these things. And I'll be honest, not everyone is built to be. It's like basically everyone's asking for the same man. And they say, oh, there's no men there, but you're all asking for the same man. So if there's a group of men who have more traditional, standards or traditional values, and they look a certain way. There's other men who may be modern, maybe other men who are kind of, they've been through stuff and they're a certain way. But women only want this 2-3% of men. Well, no, there's not going to be enough for everybody. So half of you are going to stay single. And I'm not saying lower your standards. I'm saying reevaluate what you're actually looking for. Some women are asking for things that they don't actually really want long term. They're just things that they think they should want. And that's not how life is. And so you're asking for things that you want based on what someone else told you should want. Some people aren't meant to be with the man who's in the public eye. I'm going to be so honest. That's why I said people are meant for particular people. It's very true. Like you said, like someone said, oh, if you want to date a pastor's wife, or if you want to be a pastor's wife, sorry. That is a particular woman. She has to do certain things. She has to be prepared certain ways. She has to do certain titles. She has to be function. She has a role to play. If you are going to marry someone who's a preacher, you need to know that there is a way to do things, and that's what's going to attract that person you're looking for. You're not the pastor is not going to try to look for the one woman running around breaking all the rules that go to his church. It's just not going to work. Okay? And then there's people who are, very well educated men. Not saying that. But yeah, they'll get bored with the girl who looks pretty because she has no conversation. Yeah, she had some kids. Okay. I mean, but you can't hold conversation with her, then that makes you go out and have interactions with other people or other women, and then you find them attractive, and then you go and you cheat. And then this is a big issue. But why are you cheating on me? I'm like the total package. Because you weren't the right person for him in the first place. And so you're being with people that you were told you should be with, but you really shouldn't be with. The process of finding a partner, a long term partner, I'm not talking about this other, I don't even know what they're doing. A whole point of finding a partner for your life is to share moments, go through things tough and easy in the process of making memories, in the process of, even with your changes, you're supposed to be with them. It's very easy, simple, unconditional love. That's what you're looking for. Can I love this person unconditionally or not? And we're not doing that. We're finding relationships based on conditions. Conditions change. Conditions change all the time. Money changes all the time. Looks change all the time. And instead of those things that used to break people up fairly quickly, like, oh yeah, we were partying for 6 months and now she looks crazy. Now they'll just go, oh, you know what? He didn't like that. I went and got a boob job. Okay, well now I feel like I'm more attractive to other men, so I'm gonna go talk to them, women, and then men say, you know what? She's doing all that. I've seen men. They won't talk about men get cosmetic surgery or cosmetic surgery. Same thing. That's why men before cosmetic surgery was kind of getting bigger. Men would do things like start to go to the gym, work out. Men can drop weight like that. Men can go to the gym for 2-3 months and look like a whole new you. Okay. And women don't have that ability a lot of the time. Not saying they can't. Don't say that. But men can do it real easy. They can just stop drinking beer. They'll lose 30 pounds. It's something that happens all the time. They don't have to do a lot. That's why they say some men who are hitting their 30s, they are looking very nice. But then if you notice when they get with someone, maybe someone younger, and they sit for a while, it kind of transitions back to what it is. And then they worry if their female counterparts will want someone different because now they attracted this younger person or they attracted a particular person who wanted them to have certain standards that they no longer meet, conditional love, and no longer want to be with them. So the pool, I believe that pool's tainted as hell. And I don't mean it in a like it's just bad people. What I mean is their competition is different. Their requirements, the standards are too high. The idea that you are for women sometimes the I am worth it just for being alive. I'm a woman and I look good, and if I don't look good, I'll get some surgery to look better, and then men should just do, want me. Okay. Now not only it used to be like, a lot of people couldn't afford plastic surgery. Now it's so cheap. I mean, like I said, the girl at Target could just hustle for 3 months and boom, have a boob job. So the competition is different. You're not just competing with people who have money. You're competing with all kinds of realm that you're not used to competing with. So this is just, an ongoing thing. I think that really the transition needs to take place of standards need to change. So this is what I would say. Standards need to change and the actual intent of dating needs to change. The intent is to only find someone for the moment. It's never to find someone for long term. Even for people who say, oh, I just want to get married. Really? Because after you get married, what is your goals? A lot of people say, oh, we're just going to stay together and do. No, most people don't say that. They just want to get married because the whole intent is to get married. And once they get married, though, it falls apart because there was never the intention for long term. And a lot of women are starting the divorces because their intent was just to get married. They met that goal. What's next? The intent for people who are dating is very wrong. And so with all this transition in the world, it is making a big difference. It's affecting us. That's why our dating pool is so weird. And I think when we change the standards, like I said before, the standards, the criteria, what the intent is of us dating, this is where we will make change. Now, I'm not saying it's going to change altogether because there's still changes being done, but this is really the real issue, I believe. And that when we start looking at things differently, it will change. Now, poly has come into play, which I think even if you're poly, people think it's different. It is not different. The same intent is still purposeful. This information can be done for poly or monogamous. It doesn't matter because poly people do the same thing. They do the same thing. Always know on that dating pool. No, your intent was wrong always. Are you looking for a partner or are you looking for a toy? I call them toys. Are you looking for a play toy or are you looking for a real long term situation? And if your intent is incorrect, it doesn't matter if you're monogamous or not. It's still a relationship and you're not processing it properly. So that is my spiel. I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a job to do. Have a job to do. But I did want you guys to know, like, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't been here before. I appreciate you coming and viewing. Um, I want to say thank you guys for that. I will be putting up, like I said, we're trying to get these 3 videos a week, so bear with me. Um, I'm trying to get all this out for you guys, but definitely we're gonna have some more great talks, and I'll be hitting you guys up later. I hope this information is helpful, or at least make you think, and maybe think about making some changes. Like I said, if you guys want to have more conversations like this, please comment below, or even hit me up on Instagram, whatever. We can have some more conversation. I'm always down with a good convo. So I will let you guys be great and be positive in all your movements. And you guys have a great Tuesday. Bye.